So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log, which is a podcast for the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center community on topics of interest. And the topic of interest today is learning about the sustainment of the new KC-46 Pegasus tanker that's just entering the Air Force inventory. So we're talking with some of the experts who are going to be ensuring that that aircraft is available for the warfighter for today and many, many years to come. Sir, if you could introduce yourself and give us a little of your career background.
Thanks very much. I'm Colonel Leigh Ottati, and I've had the honor and the privilege of leading the KC-46 program office team since May of this year, and joined Team Pegasus just a few months back. Before that, I spent some time at Hanscom Air Force Base in PEO Digital, working foreign military sales and international AWACS. And then before that, had some staff jobs and had the opportunity to work in mobility previously in the in the C-130J program office as well. Going further back than that gets really kind of eclectic. It started out in the Air Force Research Laboratory and bounced around a lot before landing in program management. So it's been a great ride, and I'm honored to be part of the KC-46 now, because it is a premier platform and a premier program office.
Thank you. Mr. LeBlanc?
Yeah, so name's Jody LeBlanc. I hired into the Air Force about 38 years ago as a WG5 welder's helper in commodities. Spent 6 years welding and then became the supervisor. Did that for about 3 years and then moved over as a supervisor into propulsion. Spent about the next 20 years there as a supervisor over all the engine shops. And then in 2007, had an opportunity to go to the Pentagon for 2 years, and then came back on the KC-46 program, which at the time was KCX. So I've been on this program for about 12 years now.
Okay. So you've seen it all the way through.
I have. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The reason for our conversation is I saw something talking about how the KC-46 had finished its first year of doing organic 1C checks at Tinker. And I didn't really know what a 1C check was. And I thought it'd be interesting to find out what that is. You know, we're talking about the aircraft's just coming online, and we're talking about the sustainment of it. So I wanted to schedule up this talk. So sir, tell us a little bit about what C checks are and what this achievement was.
Absolutely. I'll let Jody get into a lot of the details on the C check and this first, what we call the A package, which is the first one after 2 years of service. But want to just talk a little bit about the uniqueness of the KC-46 in that it is a commercial derivative aircraft, right? So it's based on a Boeing 767 platform that we turn into a KC-46 tanker. So it's commercial derivative. That's not necessarily unique, but because of that and the way we contracted with Boeing, there's a significant amount of the aircraft and the airworthiness that falls to the FAA. So we have different airworthiness certifications. We actually have 3 different ones, and 2 of them go to the FAA. The last few things are Air Force airworthiness. But that makes it another unique situation where it's an FAA certified airworthy commercial derivative aircraft. So that's unique enough. However, we also don't go back to Boeing for the sustainment of this aircraft. This is an organically maintained and organically sustained aircraft. So there's a lot of challenges that go along with that, in that the Air Force doesn't own the airworthiness certifications across the board. It is commercial derivative, and so it's built on Boeing's baseline. But we, the Air Force, are responsible for the maintenance and the sustainment of it. So all those challenges came into the depot activation challenges that Jody and his phenomenal team down at Tinker have been tackling over the last few years. That all came to fruition last fiscal year when we had the first opportunity to do 23 C checks on the earliest aircraft that were delivered back in 2019. To take on those challenges is, huge enough, but to be able to get all 23 done on time and really ahead of schedule was a huge accomplishment for the team. And so Jody and his team should be incredibly proud of all the work that they've done leading up to this. And I'll throw it to Jody at this point to talk maybe some specifics about what a C check is and kind of what we did for these first A packages.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you, Colonel. Just to add to what the Colonel said, this is really a big deal for the Air Force, and not only the Air Force, but the DoD. This is the first commercial derivative aircraft that is FAA certified, that is going to be maintained organically by an Air Force depot. So that is a big deal. What that does is it now opens the door to either repatriate contract workload of aircraft, commercial derivative aircraft that are being done by contractors, or to look to the future of the aircraft we'll be building in the future that will probably most likely be commercial derivative. So it opens that door.
Okay.
Now, going organic on an FAA certified aircraft in an Air Force depot was quite a challenge. And not only that, the way we're doing the KC-46 is even a bigger challenge, because what we've done is we've activated the depot 2 years after delivery of the first aircraft. Now, what the regulation says is you should activate a depot within 4 years after IOT&E. We're still there. We're still in IOT&E. We've done this 4 years early. That drives a lot of issues as far as acquisition and logistics. For example, the manuals are still being developed. So we're actually sustaining an aircraft on manuals that are changing every 120 days. So we have to go back and scrub the manuals to see what may have changed. The big difference on the 46 is we're maintaining it like a commercial aircraft. For example, KC-135 comes in every 5 years for a scheduled program depot maintenance. It may spend anywhere from 130 to 180 days in a depot being repaired. We're doing these on what we call high velocity maintenance, which is what the commercial world uses. We bring them in every 2 years. And what we do is we do what we call C checks on them. So the first 2 years, it's what we call a 1C check. And basically what that is a majority of it is inspections. We'll pull panels, we'll look at things. We'll do some replacement of filters. We'll do some lubes and stuff, but it's an in and out quick, kind of like the oil change on your car. Bring it in, get it out. We get it out within about 35 days. This September in 22, we are going to start 2C check, which is a 1C check plus a little bit more that we will add to it. The plane will now be 4 years old when it comes in. So we'll do a few more inspections and maybe change a few more things out, but quite a bit different than your legacy programs. And it's been exciting standing this up.
Okay. So is this maintenance primarily preventative? Is that what you're trying to get in ahead of the curve? Is that what it is, or?
It is. It's a brand new aircraft, and therefore we don't anticipate a whole lot to go wrong with it, kind of like you would a new car. However, we are going to do some inspections just to make sure things are wearing like they're supposed to. We're not having any problems. Checking the oils, doing the lubes, those kind of things. So it's mainly a preventive inspection with a couple of changes here and there.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that this is all entirely organic, and that is unusual. Most of the other aircraft that we brought in are under contractors to begin with. Is that how it typically is, sir? Or?
So for a commercial derivative aircraft, they are all done by FAA certified contractors. This is the first one that is FAA certified. We're doing what we call meet the intent. So therefore, we're maintaining it organically and preserving that FAA certification on it.
Okay. And Colonel, what was the decision behind doing it this way? What kind of drove that?
So the decision was made early on in the program, I believe, to look at utilizing the commercial derivative aircraft, not creating something from scratch, and utilizing Boeing's relationship that already exists with the FAA for airworthiness certification, but then also not being tied to the original equipment manufacturer, the OEM, for that sustainment for the life of the aircraft, right? So it looked at the paradigm of, if we did CDA with an FAA certification, most folks would assume, well, you're doing contractor logistics support, or CLS for life.
Yeah.
The challenge here was, let's break that paradigm. Let's look at how do we organically maintain this FAA certified aircraft. And so we've, Jody and the team have worked through a lot of the challenges for the first 1C checks. The challenges will just continue as we continue to progress into fully organic sustainment. I can tell you right now, we are under initial contractor support, or ICS, for supply support and some other aspects of how we maintain and sustain the aircraft. That ICS will be done by summer of 22, and we're transitioning all the supply support, software maintenance, and other aspects of the sustainment paradigm to organic, and we're going to have some challenges there. There will be some times that we will continue to have to rely on Boeing in this case, or the OEM, for some support, at least in the next few years, as we make that full transition organic.
Mm-hmm. Mr. LeBlanc, you mentioned FAA certification. So did your workforce need to get certified or get trained, or do you have like FAA evaluations or something when you're doing the maintenance? Or
Yeah, so that's the things we had to work through. And I'll tell you, in 2009, when we put the request for proposal on the street to get the contract, our plan was to actually become an FAA certified facility. We have 3 shops at Tinker that are actually FAA certified, KC-10 paint, and 2 of our engine shops. So that was our plan, where we could actually participate in parts pools and tag into the commercial world. That was the advantage of going CDA aircraft. About 2014, the FAA came out and said they were no longer going to certify military shops. So therefore, we had to kind of scramble and figure out how can we maintain our FAA certification without the actual certification. So what we did is we worked hand in hand with the FAA. We have a shop here at Tinker called the FSMO shop. They actually are government employees, Air Force employees that are working with the FAA. And what we did is we laid out the plan to meet the intent of the FAA. So we do everything required to actually be certified. We just don't get that certification. So what that now does is it drives the fact that we can no longer participate in an open parts pool. We have to go through a FAA certified Part 145 repair facility if we want to participate in a parts pool, or through another OEM or parts pool owner. So that was kind of a glitch, but we overcame that. And as far as the certifications go, our employees do not have to have A&P license, aircraft and propulsion license. They do not have to be FAA certified. They do get certified by the FSMO, which says you meet the requirements and the training to be able to maintain this aircraft under FAA certification. So that's how we do it. The only person that has to have the A&P license is the final program or maintenance chief that buys off that work on the last step.
Yeah. Okay.
And
all right.
Let me, I just want to add a little bit to that, because I think if we hadn't have had to find a different path, I think we would have had some significant challenges in the field because, except for every 2 years, the maintenance and what we call A-checks are being done by the maintainers in the field organically. Mm-hmm. And so potentially we would have to have our enlisted maintenance members and our maintenance officers get A&P licenses in order to work on the KC-46 if we had fully gone down that path. So this meet the intent allows us not to have to do that. It allows our maintainers who are highly skilled but don't have those particular A&P licenses, allows them to do the A checks and do the maintenance and the sustainment in the interim between depot C checks.
Okay. Now, AFLCMC, obviously, you guys manage the program from cradle to grave, but what are some of the other organizations that you're partnering with? I'm sure the Sustainment Center is a big part of that, but what are some of the other organizations that you partner with in order to get this done?
I'll throw it to you, Jody. I think, Sustainment Center is a big one, but between the FSMO, the FAA, and the MCO, some others, I'll let you kind of lay that out, Jody.
Okay. Yeah, it is definitely a team effort. It's an enterprise-wide initiative. One entity cannot do it. So we have a lot of partners in this. DLA is one of our supply chain partners. 848 Supply Chain is our other partner as far as supply goes. We're working with all three depots, Warner Robins, Ogden, and Tinker. So they are a big piece of this. The AFSC team, which are those three depots, are the ones that are going to maintain the aircraft. Not only the aircraft itself, but all of the commodities and the software and the engines. So we're doing that by breaking that out by centers of excellence. So they are the ones doing the repairs and the maintaining. We're also working hand in hand with the field units, the mobs. We work with them every day on issues they're having, whether it's our engineers working technical issues and our equipment specialists, or our loggies working supply chain issues with the supply chain. So each mob is a very big part of this enterprise, along with not just the regular Air Force, but the National Guard and the Air Force Reserve. So this is big. We also work with AMC and Material Command, who is our customer. We're working hand in hand with them to make sure we're staying within the command that they need to have over that. So a lot of people in this FSMO office, FAA. We work with a lot of contractors. We say we're going organic, but there is not a platform 100% organic. So some of this will be done by our contracting friends. And so we work with a lot of different contractors in the areas that we need. So big enterprise, big Air Force, and a lot of moving parts in this.
Okay. And so you mentioned all three depots. Is most of the work going to be done on like the airframe at Tinker, or is in certain other parts at the other depots, or how is that going?
Yeah, so we broke it out by centers of excellence. So at Tinker, you'll have the aircraft, the work being done here. About 2030, we'll start going organic on the engines. We'll stand up some engine shops to start working the engines. The software seal will be located at Tinker. At Warner Robins, you have a lot of your avionics, your life support systems. And then at Ogden, you would have your landing gear, your auxiliary power units, those kind of things. Each center is broke out by centers of excellence on what their specialties are. And that's how we're breaking this platform out. Okay.
That's fascinating. So what does the future hold as far as maintenance for the KC-46? What do we see coming down the pike? Are you guys looking at things like additive manufacturing or 3D printing or some of those other things as well?
So I would say, I'll try, and then you can help me out, Jody. So I would say that the sky's the limit on those opportunities. The difficulty with something like an additive manufacturing, 3D printing a part, is the FAA certification again, right? So if the depot itself chose to 3D print certain parts or fasteners or something to that effect, they would need to get that as they would need to be a FAA certified manufacturer. And that's not outside the realm of the possible. It's just an extra hurdle that the KC-46 has to deal with because of that FAA certification.
Okay.
Jody, you can expand on that at all if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. And right now we're in the infant stages. We're just beginning the maintenance. So it's kind of, like I said, visual inspect, do those things. As this aircraft gets older, the maintenance will get tougher. One of the advantages of being a CDA aircraft is you still have the commercial world as support. So we can reach out to the commercial world, get the parts we need, I'm sure they're doing all of those things you mentioned with the 3D printing and all that through FAA certified facilities, so we can tag into that. We can buy parts out of an open parts pool. We just can't put them back in because we're not actually certified. But we'll be doing all of those same things that the commercial world does, tapping into that as long as we can until the 767 goes away. But that was the whole point of going CDA, is we have those years that we can actually tap in and not have to reinvent the wheel, and just kind of go along with what the commercial world's doing.
Okay. And that's a great point, Jody, that we're trying to make sure that we're not relearning things that commercial airliners and freight companies such as FedEx and UPS have learned based on their years of flying the 767. We're utilizing a few different capabilities with a company called Delta Tech Ops and others that are looking at what are some of the smart things we can do from a preventative maintenance perspective, and like Jody said, utilizing their expertise and their skills so that we're not starting from scratch. There's no reason to.
So, gentlemen, that pretty much brings us to the end of our time. But before it closes, I just want to see, is there anything I forgot to ask you about, or anything that that you'd like to foot stomp on? Sir, we'll go to you first.
Nothing in particular. I'll just say again, I came on this program just over 6 months ago, and have had limited sustainment experience in my career, and so I had a steep hill to climb as far as learning everything that Jody and his team have been doing over the last few years, many years, to make us successful on the sustainment side. And I was very impressed with how well this first year of C-checks went. It's a partnership, like Jody said. It's the Air Force Sustainment Center folks and the entirety of the enterprise. But I really wanted to take an opportunity to highlight what Jody and his team at Tinker, which are part of the KC-46 program office, a critical part of our program office, what they've accomplished and allowed the Sustainment Center and really the KC-46 enterprise to accomplish this last fiscal year. So great job to them, and I'm just excited to be along for the ride in this great program.
Yep. And Mr. LeBlanc?
Yeah, so I agree with the Colonel. It's exciting being on this program. Right now, I'm working with 3 other programs that are coming up behind us that are going to have CDA aircraft, and I'm their best friend right now because we've learned the hard way, and they don't have to. So we're telling them, here's the things that work, and here's the things you definitely don't want to try. So that's going well. This is a big deal for the Air Force. It really is, because it opens a lot of doors and it gives us a lot of tools in our toolbox. And it's really a big deal for the taxpayer, because that's the goal, is to save them money as well. So support the mission, save them money. Appreciate Colonel Ottati's leadership and top cover that he gives. Anything I need, he's on it. And we couldn't do that without him and the team up at Right Pat. But just proud to serve on this platform, and look forward to what the next 2 or 3 years bring with it.
Well, I'll tell you, everybody knows that the Air Force can't do anything without tankers. And so ensuring that vital aircraft is in the air where it needs to be is important for our war fighters.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thanks again for joining us today on Leadership Log. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.